We've seen this playbook before. And an unauthorized leak comes out of either the intel community or the Pentagon. Here it's kind of both because it's the intel community within the Pentagon. That leaks to Natasha Burstrand, who now is with CNN. But this is the most discredited reporter when it comes to intel leaks of all time. It's a miracle this woman has a job still. In any right world, she would never be allowed to report again on anything related to intelligence.
I totally agree.
She is the 51 intelligence agents say that the Hunter Biden laptop is disinformation person. She was the chief perpetrator of Russiagate. She's a stenographer. She takes whatever her sources are inside the intel community, want her to print, and she puts it on the pages now of CNN. And she takes what's been dubbed a low confidence preliminary report within the Pentagon saying it's unclear exactly what we managed to wipe out with this strike that we conducted on Iran, and that we didn't absolutely obliterate their facilities. We may have set them back by only 1 month or two. We destroyed the entrances to Fordow, but not the actual centrifuges. Again, how anybody could know that from the preliminary report, which is based on satellite images, remains really unclear. But in any event, she and now the others, because she's like patient zero, now New York Times, all of them are running with it. Trump's mad. Pete Hegseth is mad. Here's Trump just a little bit yesterday ripping on people for repeating this report and for their coverage of what happened in Iran. It's SOT 27.
The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers. You're gutless losers.
Gutless losers. I just got to add one thing because this just crossed, Charlie. The Israeli Prime Minister's office has just issued the following statement. The devastating U.S. strike on Fordow destroyed the site's critical infrastructure and rendered the enrichment facility inoperable. We assess that the American strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities combined with the Israeli strikes on other elements of Iran's military nuclear program has set back Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons by many years. Now, Israel is not in the business of downplaying Iran's ability to get a nuclear weapon, okay? To the contrary, right? So if Israel is saying these attacks have developed or have set back Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons by many years, you can believe that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have several thoughts on this. The first of which is this was so predictable that there was going to be some unverified leak from the intel community to destabilize President Trump, to try to take away from the obvious political win. Think about the political win that is just waiting here for President Trump that is now setting into the narrative. No nukes for Iran, no troops on the ground, no U.S. troops killed in response, no endless war, no quagmire, no nation building. I mean, that's a phenomenal victory, right? It checks all the boxes of what the American people want, which is they don't want another Middle Eastern war, which is something, obviously, I'm more in that camp. But I don't want nukes for Iran, and President Donald Trump was able to accomplish both. So it's so predictable that, as you perfectly put it, the stenographer for the Langley Bugle, for the Central Intelligence Agency, is leading with a delegitimization campaign. I will say though that the most important component of all of this, because a nuclear program is a mindset, we know that, meaning that if you want a nuclear bomb, then you could take out all the mechanical capabilities. You could just wake up one day and say, we're still going to go about and get it, which is one of the reasons why all roads were on the narrative war through Lindsey Graham and James Lankford were leading towards regime change, because they're not wrong. They're totally wrong that regime change is a good idea. It's a terrible idea, and it remains a really bad idea. But as long as a regime wants a nuclear weapon, you'll never actually be able to get rid of their ambition for a nuclear weapon. So there's a difference between nuclear capabilities and a nuclear program. Their nuclear program will continue to exist as long as they want one. I know we got to go in a second, but let me just kind of summarize it by saying this. The most important thing, though, that the Iranians now have in the back of their mind, if they continue to pursue a nuclear bomb, Trump might bomb them from the sky, is that regardless of the timeline, it's finally real-life deterrence that somebody might come in and interrupt it. And by the way, if you're a scientist, you might get assassinated. If you're a general, you might get taken out. And so beyond the actual timeline, which is a less important component of here, in the back or the front of all their minds in Persia, they're thinking, boy, do we really want this? Because just put all this money into it, we might get taken out in real time.
We are days away from what has been dubbed by some the Rio Reset, what some worry could be a threat to the U.S. dollar's global dominance in over 80 years. On July 6th, BRICS nations, that's Russia, China, India, and Iran, and some more, are expected to unveil their plans to circumvent the U.S. dollar, thus cratering, its value. Some report that they've already been laying the groundwork as their central banks have been methodically divesting from the U.S. dollar and U.S. bonds in favor of gold. How can you protect your IRA or 401k from the fallout from this landmark shift? One option is to diversify with gold from Birch Gold Group. Historically, gold has been a safe haven in times of high uncertainty, which is right now. Get a free info kit on tax-sheltered gold IRAs by texting the word MK letters to 989898. July 6th could mark a monumental shift happening among nations that control 1/3 of the world's GDP. Arm yourself with information to diversify your retirement savings. Text MK to 989898 and claim your free info kit from Birch Gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.